The Joe Rogan Experience.
This is from 1964.
What is it?
It's a FOIA request made for the
Freedom of Information Act?
Freedom of Information Act for the file of Barack Hussein Obama Sr. as a graduate student in the economics department at Harvard University. Okay? Obama has passed his general exams, which indicates that on academic grounds he is entitled to stay around here and write his thesis. However, they are going to try to cook something up to ease him out. All three Harvard people, will have to agree on this, however. They are planning on telling him that they will not give him any money and that he had better return to Kenya and prepare his thesis at home, which means he will never get his PhD. Remember when they said take a break to you? This is my alma mater.
Okay, so Barack Obama's dad, Barack Obama Sr., is who I think they're talking about, has made these claims of what they're going to do to his son. I'm going to wait to see, but I wonder if Eric's going to provide any evidence or proofs to help verify that that's in fact what these people were going to do. Like that was their plan. Like they were going to cook something up. So we need to verify these claims.
This is the thing I've been, there's this whole story about what happened in my early life and why I don't talk about it publicly.
I hope we readdress this, or else it's just, it's just an anecdote that may or may not be true or based in truth. Like the Freedom of Information Act document is probably true, but the claims of Barack Obama's father, if that's who we're talking about here, doesn't mean that those claims are true of what was going on.
And this is why this is interacting with your story about joke thievery, because it's weird for a comic not to turn that into a joke. And it wasn't funny to you. In around, 1988, 1989, Harvard University told me, to remain in good standing in this program, you cannot live in Massachusetts.
Why?
And I said, what? How can you tell me where I can live and where I can't live? It wasn't until somebody FOIA'd.
Okay, so Eric's claiming that these claims were made. Let's listen to that again. And who made these claims?
Because it's weird for a comic not to turn that into a joke. And it wasn't funny to you. In around, 1988, 1989, Harvard University told me.
So I'm going to want to know who told him. Harvard University is an educational institution. So who told him this? And do we have any documentation? Do we have any, proof that this actually did occur?
To remain in good standing in this program, you cannot live in Massachusetts.
So I would ask, if I was there, I would say, how did they deliver this information to you, Eric?
Why?
And I said, what?
So Joe goes to why. I think he should seek to verify here. Question and continue to question anything. Why is an interesting question, but sorting out how first perhaps is how I would go at this.
How can you tell me where I can live and where I can't live? It wasn't until somebody FOIA'd Barack Obama's father in his file.
So it's quite the claim. Like and look, it might be true, but it needs to be demonstrated, right? The claim needs to be demonstrated. Burden of proof is on Eric for making the positive claim. So, you got to get down to how was this information delivered to you? Get into the full spectrum of the story and that situation to better understand what happened.
I read this story that I realized that Harvard has a program for how it gets rid of people it wants to get rid of who are in good standing.
Okay, so he's saying he read the Obama story and then he thinks about his experience, and then he's saying Harvard has this program of of how they, basically a system of how they get rid of people who, what were his words there?
In his file, and I read this story, that I realized that Harvard has a program for how it gets rid of people it wants to get rid of who are in good standing.
People they want to get rid of. Why would Harvard want to get rid of anyone that is in good standing? So this is the let's call it what it is. This is the conspiratorial story that's being presented here. So we need to verify claims as they come. So now Eric's claiming I realized that they have this system in place that if they have someone that's in good standing, and we still don't like them, or for whatever reason they want, they do this forced relocation thing. And again, we need demonstration of this.
It makes them move.
It makes them move so that they can't complete their thesis.
Why did they want to do that with you?
So if you move, you can't complete your thesis. That may or may not be true. But again, I want to see if that's true. Like, if you move from that location, is it true that you actually cannot complete your thesis? Or if you're forced to move, say for whatever reason.
Probably because I'm as learning disabled as the day is long. Probably because I took an unpopular.
Learning disabled, interesting. What he probably means by that is he's autodidactic. Which I am, and a small portion of the population is. You can look at what autodidactism or what an autodidact is, but it's basically someone who's a self-learner. They essentially have to teach themselves things. They don't learn well in social environments, and that's kind of I totally relate to that. That might be what Eric's talking about here. I'm not sure. But he seems like someone that, has at least been able to. He's picked up a lot of information and has a robust knowledge bank on a lot of different topics. So, but that may have come through his autodidactic way of learning.
Stance that the equations that people were working with, called the Donaldson theory self-dual equations, were not the right equations to be working with. And that we had somehow been assuming that they were highly peculiar, so that they can't complete their thesis.
Why did they want to do that with you?
Probably because I'm as learning disabled as the day is long. Probably because I took an unpopular stance that the.
Okay, so he took an unpopular stance on a set of equations that were looked to be the right direction to be working on.
Equations that people were working with, called the Donaldson theory self-dual equations, were not the right equations to be working with, and that we had somehow been assuming that they were highly peculiar to dimension 4, and that the difficulty of the equations, which was what was giving us all these great results. I had effectively gotten on the wrong side. I'd proposed some equations that I was told were insufficiently nonlinear, never mind what that means, that in 1994.
So someone told him insufficiently nonlinear. So they decided the equations Eric wanted to be investigating more or going forward. They said, there is this significant problem, so we're going to be going with this.
Effectively, the same equations took over the entire field.
Oh, okay. So he's saying effectively the same equations that he was trying to present during this time that were rejected ended up. Let's listen here.
Never mind what that means. That in 1994, effectively the same equations took over the entire field.
So effectively the same equations took over the entire field. So so Eric's claiming that he had the equations, but he just wasn't listened to for whatever reason. That's the claim. So again, with all this stuff, this hearsay stuff, we need to be able to verify this somehow. We want to look at the documentation of what Eric Weinstein has that he can provide, old emails, some papers during this exchange. He must have been exchanging some documents. So yeah, let's get into this some more.
Whatever it was, and this is like part of the idea of reclaiming your own story. It was so crazy that a university would tell me what state I could live in.
So he's focusing on that again. We need to verify this. Did Harvard University tell him he can't tell a human being, you can't live in this state? Why? We gotta, it's very conspiratorial. Is it possible that something like this can happen? Yes. Is it probable or plausible? It's like on that side, we need proofs to start showing that it's probably what happened. But just Eric's claims alone doesn't give me any proofs on that side. So we are still hanging out in the realm of possibility. So let's keep going.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
So the people that are telling you this,
Yeah.
they're operating on a pre-existing solution to deal with people that they find undesirable or
Correct.
problematic.
If you
So
fall
it's written
afoul of them,
right. So it's
then-
written somewhere or something.
I don't know. or it's it's like people maintain.
It's a good question from Joe. He's asking, is it written somewhere? Like how do we know that this thing actually does exist and that this isn't Eric blowing something out of proportion? Say, they just didn't like you, man. They didn't want to work with you, so they were like, "Go away, Eric." And then Eric might say, "No, there's a system at play, man. It's coming down on me." And he's not saying it like that, but I'm just giving you the caricature version of it.
For example, one way of
So good on Joe for asking questions, engaging in the mechanism of skepticism. It's a beautiful thing, Joe.
getting rid of a tenured professor that's known is that you ask the person to report on their research and you load them up with teaching and you give them a lousy office. And then eventually they'll just quit because you make their life hell.
So this is a tactic you can use if you want to get rid of a person who, toes that line. I think we've all worked with people like that, especially in union situations where it's really hard to fire someone or get rid of someone. You might stack on duties that aren't going against any kind of workers' union laws or anything like that, but you might stack on the worst jobs on that one person, and they'll feel like, why do I always get the shit jobs? And they'll be like, that's just the way we want to manage it, man. You're doing the shit jobs and you get that office that has that weird odor in it and everyone else doesn't have to sit in it. So it is a tactic you can use within the rules, but as an employer, you have to make sure you don't cross that line and start discriminating against one person or, playing favorites to a point where someone's feeling like they are being abused, right? Or harassed, because then you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands. So that can happen. Again, was that happening in this situation? It was Harvard, applying certain pressures to graduates or students or whatever, or staff in order to push them like that. I mean, I can see it. It's not that unordinary for this to happen. Okay.
So people know that there are these kind of secret, quiet ways to do the undoable.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Secret, quiet ways to do the undoable. Sure.
What did you think about Cornel West being denied tenure from Harvard? First of all, I assumed he already had it. I mean, Cornel West is this loved intellectual. When I found out they denied him tenure, I was like, what?
Sweetheart Joe, he's this loved intellectual. That's not necessarily what's going to be go into those decisions, right? But I mean, it's a good thought, Joe. You're showing your willingness and want to promote wellness upon others. Joe Rogan, I got to say this about Joe Rogan. The reason why people watch Joe Rogan is because artistic and scientific inspiration is pouring out of the guy. He's at a 10 out of 10 on both those meters. And some of it has to do with his career as a podcaster, and he gets to talk to a lot of interesting people. But he's just like that. It's kind of like Dwayne. What did I say? The Rock, the Dwayne. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he's got that same feel to him. He's just an inspiring individual, and you like watching him listen. You like watching him think, because he's not just like bullshitting. He's really interested. He's in it, and that's his artistic and scientific inspiration coming out and inspiring others. And yeah, that's why people are attracted to Joe.
How do you deny Cornel West tenure? Like, what is that? What did you think about that?
I, first of all, am not knowledgeable in that area. I think of him as a very bright, super...
And this is a bit of like Joe Rogan trying to stoke the fire a little bit with Eric. Oh, yeah, and then they did that to him. Oh, yeah, and then this to me. Which is, it's an interview tactic to bring up something like that to stoke the flames a little more, which I guess it's fine. But it sounds like Eric isn't biting.
Star of some sort of part academic, part social crossover, high impact human being. I was there when Larry Summers was president of Harvard, when he went out and said effectively, too many people are using the Harvard label, and we're going to be reining it in and going back to hard rigor and basics. Let me tell you what people don't understand about Harvard. Harvard is two separate structures fused together. One is about power, and one is about achievement. And the two of them are interlinked in a way that cannot be separated.
Power of education. There's an element missing out of those. It's fundamentally an educational institution, right? That's striving to get good results. And out of those good results, there's likely going to be achievements. And, achieving the feat of bringing whatever author or intellectual in to be the next big professor for this program, right? These are important things as well. So those two things, power and achievement, maybe excellence is missing out of there, but maybe you just to throw Eric a bone here, maybe you would throw excellence and attach it to achievement, and maybe the excellence is pulling power out of there. But out of that structure of two, it's like I want to go fundamentally one step lower, and maybe those are features of the fundamental, but the fundamental is still educational institution, in the engaging in the art and administration of education.
Without the achievement, Harvard wouldn't have this kind of glowing reputation that causes us to sort of ooh and ah over it historically. Right. Without the power...
So without the achievements, sure, you got to build it up. You got to build imagine Harvard building ground up. Like, we need some achievements that we can attach to our name to attract more people and more interest and all this stuff. Sure.
It wouldn't be able to attract the money, and it wouldn't be able to constantly position itself. So through achievement, it gets enough cachet interlinked in a way that cannot be separated. Without the achievement, Harvard wouldn't have this kind of glowing reputation that causes us to sort of ooh and ah over it historically. Right. Without the power, it wouldn't be able to attract the money, and it wouldn't be able to constantly position itself. So,
I don't think that's true. Without the power, it wouldn't be able. You can just have an education system that's just, flourishing, and it's this positive perpetual motion forward of achievement, and of course you're going to have power structures within that model and hierarchies, but the way he's describing power, I'm not sure he's on
the achievement.
Point here.
Harvard wouldn't have this kind of glowing reputation that causes us to sort of ooh and ah over it historically. Right. Without the power, it wouldn't be able to attract the money, and it wouldn't be able to constantly...
Achievements, like I was talking about, will attract the money. Like, I mean, if they're achieving, producing these scholars that go on to do X, and maybe they come back to teach, the people are going to come there, not because some power is attracting them there, but So again, I don't think
the position itself. So through achievement, it gets enough cachet to wield power. Through the power, it gets
enough cachet to wield power. It doesn't have to wield power. The educational institution doesn't have to wield power. People will come to it if it's proven through achievement. Right?
resources to buy achievement. And this sort of thing is
resources to buy achievement. Look, that's true. Resources can help you buy achievement, but the power element of that isn't required. I don't think he's demonstrated that. Let's see if he says
not
more.
Understood. And I've been on both sides of this thing. Like one.
Interesting. Okay, so that tactic of, and I've been on both sides. You know, it's like, trust me, I've been there. Or someone will say, trust me, I have a PhD. Trust me, I have my master's of whatever. You know, it's a conversational tactic. I think I would advise people to get that out of their system. Don't do that. It's a salesman technique. Get the salesmanship out of your realm of the things that you'll pull from in discussion. You don't need to sell it. You don't need to sell yourself. Stick to the claims you're willing to make and how you can demonstrate those claims. It's just that kind of salesmanship. I just think some people are going to fall for it. True, in the general population, but anyone who knows anything about skepticism is just going to see that as like, okay, yeah. Get to your next thing.
One of the things that happened was that the Boskin Commission in 1996 tried to figure out how to cut Social Security and raise taxes without getting caught, because that's the third rail of politics. And what they said is, if we change the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, the way we measure inflation, because tax brackets are indexed and because entitlement payments for Social Security and Medicare are indexed, if we claim that inflation is overstated by 1.1 percentage points, we will gain $1 trillion in savings.
Do you guys notice the shift in inspirational quality that's coming off of Eric when he's starting to get locked into the realm at which he's an expert in? When he starts talking about economy and later and whenever you see a video of him talking about mathematics, those are his realms. He gets locked in. He relaxes. He's comfortable. He's no longer talking about something that could have serious social implications, which it seems like with Eric, he's really he's angst up about this. He really he cares a lot about what he's saying, and it could be caring because he's trying to maybe twist and turn the story to build up some publicity, and some people would say, well, that's like charlatan behavior, or he's genuinely talking about something that truly occurred and truly happened, and he's disclosing this to the public. There are other options. It's not just one or the other of what I describe, but there's lots going on here. There's definitely some angst.
And the public won't be able to object to it because we're going to be just adjusting a dial. We're going to say that this dial was broken and we got some technocrats to fix it. So they figured out we want to get $1 trillion over 10 years. They backed out. That would require 1.1% overstatement. They broke into two teams. One team came up with 0.5. One team came up with 0.6. 0.5 plus 0.6 equals 1.1. Totally fictitious. And they got a proposal for $1 trillion that they were going to steal effectively from Social Security.
Effectively. So I've noticed Eric Weinstein, when when he uses the term effectively, it's like his kind of, in a way, term. Effectively steal. Is it actually stealing? Is stealing the right term? If he's using effectively in there as kind of an extra qualifier of what he just said, maybe he needs to use other terms. But maybe he does mean stealing here, because if you're gonna make a claim about stealing, that is a crime, right? Under Western law.
Security. And
they describe this action publicly?
Robert Gordon, who was one of the 5 Boskin commissioners. Jamie, could you bring up something called Boskin Wild versus Mild?
Whoops.
Mild. They brag about these things. Power wants to explain just how powerful it is.
Okay. Let's go back.
Called Boskin Wild versus Mild. They brag about these things.
They brag about what exactly?
Power.
They brag about stealing. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know exactly what he's referring to here.
Wants to explain just how powerful it is.
No. Power wants to explain just how powerful it is. No, that's not absolute. That's not fundamental. He's saying it as though it is, but we can look at many examples in history where we have powerful figures that prefer to not be known, to hide, or even to put themselves at the level of their employee, because they find that an effective way to be in touch with exactly what's going on with their company or whatever the endeavor is. So I'm gonna have to say no on that one, Eric, based on my analysis.
And you remember the scene in The Big Short where they're talking to these guys in Florida and saying, why are they confessing? And somebody says they're not confessing, they're bragging. It's a question of what are you proud that you're able to do?
Right.
What are you proud what you're able to do?
Short where they're talking to these guys in Florida and saying, why are they confessing? And somebody says they're not confessing, they're bragging. It's a question of what are you proud that you're able to do?
What are you proud about within the realm of things that you can do? Yeah, I mean, some people are going to want to brag or always kind of re-angle things back to a place where they're comfortable talking about, and they're very proud of how, how much they know about that topic or how well they can, nail 2 boards together or something like that. Yeah, some people are braggarts in that way, but again, it's not fundamental. But it seems like he's presenting it as fundamental, or maybe relating it to these characters or these actors that he's referring to.
Right.
So until Robert Gordon did this PowerPoint presentation, we did not understand what happened to the work that I did with my wife in economics, which is that we were trying to show how you could actually compute the consumer price index objectively using gauge theory. The same year, they were trying to figure out how do we steal $1 trillion over 10 years by doing funny games with the gauge called inflation. Do you find the wild versus the mild?
Yeah, I did. It's just loading a PDF and it's like taking it. I bailed.
So this thing, perfect. If you go to go about 5 or 6 slides in.
We'll see how that works.
Okay.
Go 5 or 6 slides in. We'll see. Come on, dude.
1, 2, 3,
Keep going.
5.
Jesus. He's counting into the mic.
You find the word somehow. Keep going. Okay, Dale said 1.1% implies $1 trillion in Social Security savings over 10 years. Somehow, our separate efforts came up with the 1.1% bias number. In other words, they came up with the target, which is let's save $1 trillion, and then they came up with we have to say it's overstated by 1.1. We then broke into 2 groups, and somehow, keyword, we put the numbers together and we got the target. This is academic malpractice in the absolute extreme. When Harvard was doing that, it was acting in its power capacity. And the way they did it was they buried what I think is probably the best work in 25 to 50 years in mathematical economics that happened in the Harvard Economics Department, which is a second so-called marginal revolution where we changed the calculus underneath all of economic theory.
So he just made a big claim there that Harvard buried this information. So obviously it's another claim we need demonstrated.
So how does something like this happen? Is there a concerted effort? Did they get together and they have this idea?
Yeah,
this is how we're going to do it?
5-person commission behind closed doors that meets at the cousin's house of somebody on the commission in Florida. And in another presentation,
well, he says behind closed doors, but do the people part of this commission not exchange emails, phone calls? See, the behind closed doors thing, it's another conspiratorial thing, but let's see.
Fucking Florida.
Florida man.
Fucking Florida.
In another presentation, they say, we solved this at the kitchen table of my cousin's house in Florida. And you're just thinking like, okay, so it's 5 guys, Bob Packwood and Daniel Patrick Moynihan, a Democrat and a Republican, got together, picked 5 economists who were willing to play the dirty game. The dirty game broke into 2 teams.
5 economists willing to play the dirty game. I wonder what those 5 economists would have to say about Eric's analysis on whether they were willing to play a dirty game or not, right? You can't just buy what Eric's saying about them, right? This is why hearsay doesn't mean much in the court of law. And from a skeptic's perspective, if someone says, 20 of us saw an alien spacecraft, and I'm like, after a line of questioning, I can conclude that they probably saw something. But to say it's an alien spacecraft is just like, oftentimes people don't even know what they are claiming when they say that. This stuff has to be verified.
They knew exactly what they had to do. They found the results to put them together, to put in front of Congress, to put in front of the National Academy.
And were they ever held accountable for this?
No. There's an entire book called...
So they were never held accountable, and Eric acknowledges that they weren't. So what are we to make of these claims? Like, is Eric claiming that people should be held accountable? What is the consensus out there on the claims Eric is making about the stealing and the thievery that apparently is going on within whatever he's talking about?
The Physics of Wall Street, in which my wife and I are chapter 10 and the epilogue, which it talks about they made Weinstein and Milani go away. Right? So what I'm trying to talk to you about.
They made Weinstein and Milani go away. And for what reason, right? Did they just not want to work with Eric because they thought he was an asshole or he wasn't talented enough? Or, what are some other reasons why you would want to make a couple people go away, not have anything to do with your team, right? And are we getting the sour grapes reverberation of that from Eric here? It's one hypothesis. Or another hypothesis is what he's saying is true, that they didn't want to include him for bad reasons. It seems to be the argument he's making.
Is like this experience for me. I've never talked about this with anyone. I've talked to tons of people privately. This is going to go out into the world. I was, this question, like,
you can tell his emotionality and his passion is boiling up. Like he says, I've never talked to this about anyone. That was a very emotional statement. And then he catches himself and skepticism kicks in and says, well, I've talked to, people in private, but those are colloquialisms when we say, I've fucking told no one about this. And then really you mean, I've only told a few people about this.
Like, what has Eric Weinstein ever done? I did.
What has Eric Weinstein ever done? Let's go back to watch him say that.
I mean, I've talked to tons of people privately. This is going to go out into the world. I was, you know, this question like, what has Eric Weinstein ever done?
Yeah, that one eats at him.
I did that. I did the marginal revolution using gauge theory.
Stop. That question is Tim Dillon joking around.
Yeah, I know.
He said, "What did he never created the rotato." He was
very
joking. He was fucking around.
That was the funny part about it. He was joking.
But he's saying that because he knows you're brilliant.
Do
you understand? The
too.
only reason why he can say that, if you were a loser, he couldn't say that.
You don't need to make me feel good about myself.
I know, but you brought it up again.
No, I'm saying something completely different.
Okay.
I actually have been scared of this question.
What question?
Tim's question taken seriously.
Who's going to take it seriously?
Why would Eric be scared of people, saying, what has Eric Weinstein ever done? Why does he give a fuck? This is a problem I have with many intellectuals. They just apply some skepticism to these emotional emergences that happen. Like, I would hope that if Eric is, engaging with the Solid Foundation and skepticism, that whenever he would be bothered by that, in his mind, skepticism would come in and continue to question, and look at that and just say, yeah, it doesn't really matter what if people are asking that, or what people are going to say, or whatever. I'm just, I'm doing the work I enjoy and the things I love to do. So, they can either, hang out, don't hang out with me on this journey. And, and of course, if people come along that are working against you, if you feel they're working against you, just you don't have to engage with those people on this path at this moment anymore. They may come up to you later and say, hey man, I remember I used to give you a bunch of trouble and say things like, what has Eric Weinstein ever done? But I looked at your geometric unity equations, and I thought that they were interesting, and I just wanted to say, like, if you ever want to get together have a conversation. It's like, this happens all the time in life. People say petty shit like that all the time. But Eric's sitting here worried about it. People like Sam Harris suffer from this as well. Like, it's like, as soon as there's any kind of social pressure, or people are saying like, oh, Sam Harris is a racist, or Sam Harris is this, and it eats away at Sam. It's just like, dude, just push that shit away, man. Just do your thing. And of course, like, if there's defamation going on out there, fucking go after it legally. Use the legal system in your favor in those circumstances. But this kind of petty shit of like, well, what has he ever done? And it doesn't matter who's saying it. It doesn't matter if Albert Einstein was saying it to you, Eric. It doesn't matter, man. It's just apes being apes.
Taking it seriously.
Okay.
No.
You're in a weird
Let's
world.
go back a little bit.
Who's going to take it seriously?
I'm taking it seriously.
Okay.
No.
You're in a weird...
That was a really vulnerable moment there, man.
Who's going to take it seriously?
I'm taking it seriously.
Okay.
Right there.
No. You're in a weird world. Okay, here's your weird world. You're in a world of serious intellectual people. But
you're
hanging
damn
out
straight.
You're also hanging out with Tim Dillon and me.
And I love it.
But the problem is, like, you're conflating these two things.
No, Joe, I'm not that angry at Tim Dillon. It's not. I'm
not that angry. Do you hear that? You heard the word. You heard the word.
We got the Joe Rogan eyes bulging out of this.
That's a problem.
Well, you're not that angry at Carlos Mencia.
I'm not angry at him at all.
I know, and I'm not angry at Tim Dillon at all.
Well, let's go back here. Look at Joe.
Well, you're not that angry at Carlos Mencia.
I'm not angry at him at all.
That one actually did. I think that one stuck a dagger in Joe.
No, I'm not angry at Tim Dillon.
Sad
I'm sad for Tim Dillon. Anyway.
Shouldn't be sad for Tim.
Wait.
He's one of the most important comedians of our time.
See, Joe, that was interesting. Joe, I could see Joe's skepticism interact with his with the emergent, potentially this being a thing that could really tick him off going down this road, but which he probably didn't want to go down again. But yeah, that was a good catch, I think.
Okay,
how dare you?
It gave me a moment to reflect, and I realized something, which is I don't want to talk about this shit publicly.
Yes, you do. So this is one of those things where people, they find themselves doing something. I don't want to be here. It's almost like I think what he's saying is he doesn't want any negative effects from this stuff, but he wants, to be paid his due, where he feels like he's been, maybe cheated or bullied out of something.
I don't want to say Dale Jorgensen is the guy who buried one of the most important innovations in economic theory.
But yeah, you just did.
I just did.
So Dale Jorgensen is buried. That's another claim, need to be verified. I wonder if Dale Jorgensen's going to respond. It'll be interesting. It seems like there's going to be a lot of, you would think there would be a lot of responses to some of these claims.
And that's what I've just done. That's what I realized by reviewing your history and revealing you're 7 years away from the store. I don't want to be associated with Dale Jorgensen. I don't care about him. Mm-hmm. I want to be associated with gauge theoretic economics.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think Eric could do with a moral upgrade there. As soon as you start saying you don't care about people, it doesn't matter what they've done. You're not being honest with, because he actually does. I would guess that Eric Weinstein actually does care about the well-being of this person. Obviously, he's saying it in a colloquial way. He's using care, but I think even in a colloquial way, you wanna find a place within your moral castle to be able to care for everyone. I think we should approach all relationships or potential relationships from a aspect of care, as opposed to things like worry and anxiety and survival.
And what I realized is I don't want to be associated with the shit that happened over something called the Seiberg-Witten equations.
And also this idea of association. It doesn't fucking matter who associates you with what, man. Just go on your adventure. People are going to associate you with all kinds of, people you may not want to be associated with. And then you'll see it and be like, why am I being associated with him? Apes are apes, dude. Apes are apes.
What I just handed you, one of the reasons I've held it back is that it very clearly gives an alternate definition, alternate motivation and derivation of the equations that revolutionized gauge theory, which is what I was thinking about in around 1987, 1988.
I wonder what he handed Joe. I wonder what he's talking about.
And I've lived afraid of my own story because it's such an ugly story. The story of a guy who was not allowed to attend his own thesis defense. To any academician, you hear it like, what do you mean you weren't allowed to? You present your thesis. No.
So if he, in fact, wasn't allowed to attend, then I would want to know what the reasoning was behind that.
No, I was not allowed in the room of my own thesis defense.
So this is why Harvard wanted you to move out of state.
Harvard and I got into a thing.
Because of that.
Okay.
Because of a conflict. Because also of this. Because of geometric unity. Because I said, I want to do physics. And I have an idea about how physics goes. And to be brutally honest, I was technically underpowered. I am technically underpowered. I was conceptually amazing.
Okay, so he went to whoever at Harvard and said he wanted to do physics, and it sounds like they denied him.
I was very creative, very generative. And to be brutally honest, I was technically underpowered.
Okay, so he was lacking in that department, which, may have been the reason why they denied it, right?
I am technically underpowered. I was conceptually amazing. I was very creative, very generative. Tons and tons of great ideas, I think. I'm being honest on both fronts. Technically underpowered.
Okay.
I couldn't accept myself in this world of if you play classical music, everybody's technically brilliant. There's no technically weak people in classical music.
That's wrong. There's technically strong classical musicians and then technically not so strong. So I don't know where he's getting that.
I was like a guy. It was like John Lee Hooker in the orchestra of the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, on one string and a guitar playing with some weird syncopated rhythm.
Boom, 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 boom.
Gonna shoot you right down. Yeah, exactly. Mom said, Daddy said, let that boy boogie woogie. It's in him and it's got to come out. That thing I'm scared of.
Why are you scared of it?
Because it's my history. Because I don't want to go back into it. I don't want to go back to being the guy begging Dale Jorgensen, pretty please with sugar and top, let me innovate your entire field. I don't want to go back to the Harvard department and say the words Clifford Taubes. You had Gary Taubes on your program.
Mm-hmm.
Clifford Taubes was the guy who told me I had to move out of state.
Okay, so Clifford Taubes. So one person so far we know told him that he had to get out of state. That's not Harvard telling you, man. And if he's putting that on Harvard, we need to see the evidence that Harvard would sanction such an act or demand.
I don't want to go back to being the guy begging Dale Jorgensen, pretty please with sugar and top, let me innovate your entire field. I don't want to go back to the Harvard department and say the words Clifford Taubes.
You can innovate an entire field without getting permission to do so. It's not up to him.
You had Gary Taubes on your program.
Mm-hmm.
Clifford Taubes was the guy who told me I had to move out of state.
Clifford Taubes related to Gary?
Yeah, he's his brother. Yeah. He was the guy who held the secret seminar. And the thing is that
the secret seminar. Ooh. I wonder, I hope he describes what that is.
That I'm not against the person in the story. I don't want to have it. I don't want to be involved with him. I want him to go and be successful and have a good career. But my story, when I put forward...
That's good. It's good that he said that. Getting your morality out there and clarifying your morality within the context of the conversation is good.
Those equations, and he said they're insufficiently nonlinear. And he said self-duality doesn't have anything to do with spinors, because if it did, Nigel Hitchens would have told us. Okay, Nigel would have told us. He didn't say Hitchens. He was wrong. And then when I gave him the opportunity, he didn't say, you know what, Eric Weinstein brought these equations up, and I told him no. And that thing is like something I've held open the door. He's now in his mid-60s. I was like, you really couldn't just say, maybe I screwed up?
You should go kick his ass.
No. Why?
I'm choking.
Kick his ass. So yeah, again, we need to verify this event of him handing these equations. They were turned down, and then later on, they came to be. Did Eric show anyone else at that time? Talk about it at that time? Are there any other people that could say, yeah, I remember the day he went in there, or at least, yeah, I was in school with Eric at the time, and he showed me what he was bringing to them. Like, we need some further verification, demonstration of this.
Okay, I know.
Eric is. Oh, whoops.
Well, but wait a second, Joe.
I need to go back.
He's now in his mid-60s. I was like, you really couldn't just say, maybe I screwed up?
You should go kick his ass.
No. Why?
I'm choking.
I know.
You can tell Eric's thought about that. Why? He's actually he's probably fantasized about it.
Well, but wait a second.
That was a good pick. That was a good pick up by Joe, by the way. That was good. He picked that up.
Joe? Such a dick.
He knows it too. That's great.
Such a dick.
I had to.
Oh,
Come on, bring
man,
some levity
I
into this. I
appreciate
thought you were going to cry 30 seconds ago.
Do you have a tissue?
Somewhere.
Yeah,
it was over there.
That's really good of Joe to, it takes, great intuition, understanding of humanity to be able to interject like that at that time, nailing on the head. And Joe's really good at this. Nailing on the head something that's going to improve the well-being of the person that's, suffering through something difficult.
But this is the thing. I've been running. What I realized through Tim, it wasn't a question of being angry at Tim, really. I've been running away from my own story. Just the way I don't like you associated with. I haven't mentioned the guy who was the joke thief in this entire time.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Right? It's like, why are you and he entangled in a story? Because he has nothing to do with your life.
It's okay. It doesn't bother me that I'm entangled with him.
What bothers me that I'm entangled with.
Yeah, so there's the upgrade. It doesn't bother Joe that he's entangled with him.
With this stuff.
Yeah, and Eric, that's an interesting kind of end to this clip, showing you the difference in how where the skepticism is lacking on Eric's side. I think if he sat in this in meditation and applied some skepticism to how it's bothering him, I think he would identify this to be quite silly.
I know what you're saying.
Because I want to be joyous. I want to produce positive things that uplift us, that give us a hope of breaking like the Einsteinian speed limit.
You want to be joyous? Well, you've sorted out how you determine what is going on in reality with the scientific method. You know that through and through. Now your moral foundation. How do you solve moral dilemmas? You're having a problem solving this moral dilemma within yourself because you can't do what Joe Rogan just did. So you need to apply some skepticism there and move through. How is your current moral foundation not helping you out here? So yeah, get that sorted. And I think, from that, once you get those two things sorted, then move on to your artistic and scientific inspirational meters and just have that propel you forward, man. And then, I already brought up skepticism within this model, but skepticism's that fifth piece where it's got to be sitting up top and questioning and continuing to question anything within these other four systems. So, you got to get that skepticism in your moral foundation and start really doing some work and taking a look at the reasons why you're having a hard time with this association issue and this issue of what everyone else thinks or what some people might think, even if they're, even if they're your hero, right? You got to build that wall. All right, let's finish the video.
If this is wrong, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's right. I think with all my flaws and all my failings and being 25 years out of the field, I believe that this story is going to be fixed by people who are trying to shoot it down. They're going to say, holy shit. I think there's something here.
Well, now we're going to know, right?
I'm hoping.
You released it today?
On geometricunity.org.
All right, geometricunity.org. I'm going to do a video on this equation. I'm going to have to do a little bit of prep work because my mathematics is not nearly as advanced as Eric's or any mathematician, really. But I would like to look. I've been revisiting a lot of mathematics recently, and so that I have the proper stuff to support my theory of everything, my state of potential theory, and hopefully within the next 5 years I'll publish that. But my pleasure drive theory book is really coming together. These are going to be short, small books, so you won't have to spend, many days reading this. I'm making them as short as possible. But my How to Think book is going to come out first. Anyways, enough of that. Eric Weinstein, Harvard burying his work. There's a lot that has to be demonstrated here, guys. This is a story at this point. It's a narrative. We need some demonstration here. It'll be interesting to see what the responses are. I look forward to looking at geometric unity. I got Michio Kaku coming on the podcast April 9th, which is 1 week from today at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So please join me live for that with Michio Kaku. 5 p.m. that evening, Dr. Kaku will be coming on to our Pangburn Q&A, which you can attend. These occur on our Discord server. You have to be a Pangburn website subscriber to attend the Q&A. It's exclusive. So go to pang-burn.com/subscription to sign up. And in general, even if you're not going to come to the Q&A, join our Discord. You can find our Discord link under all of our videos. But join our Discord. We have daily conversations there, philosophy, science, art. We talk about everything. And we have amazing admins that run conversations every day. And I pop into most of the conversations. So yeah, I'd love to get to know you better and come and engage with our amazing community that we've built there. But remember to hit that sub button if you enjoyed this video. Drop a like on the video. And as always, let art and science inspire. Thank you.